With the strum of his lute, he can save your team from the brink of madness, but beneath his whimsical facade lies a dark and deadly twist. Hey there friends, it's Codiak here. Welcome to Legacy Gaming. Today, we're diving into Darkest Dungeon 2 and learning how to master the Jester. Let me just say, the Jester is easily one of my favorite characters in Darkest Dungeon 2. It's a wildly creative take on a bard/assassin archetype that blends mobility, utility, and damage all into one, and it's the main reason why so many players resonate with this hero. On the surface, you have a character capable of dealing moderate damage and inflicting bleed. This is a core aspect of what the Jester is capable of, but on top of that are more layers of complexity. The Jester is one of the most mobile characters in Darkest Dungeon 2, with a myriad of abilities that allow him to move ranks, and in some instances, move other heroes. On top of those two things, the Jester is also a utility player and has plenty of self-buffs and stress-reducing abilities. I've actually talked about this a bit in our Wish I Knew Sooner tips and tricks video, and I stand by the fact that the Jester is one of the best stress healers in this current version of the game, but just hang tight, we'll get there. The Jester is a deceptively great hero and can fit into nearly any team, making an impact from any rank and synergizing almost perfectly with any heroes you decide to bring along. But before we get too far, we have to start with the basics. Razor's Wit is the Jester's first ability. This is a melee attack that can be used from the back 3 ranks and can attack the enemy's front 3 ranks. It does 3 to 6 damage and has a 10% chance to crit. Using this move moves the Jester up 1 rank and applies a dodge token to the hero. Fade to Black is similar to Razor's Wit in that it's a melee attack that can be used from the front 3 ranks and hits the enemy's front 3 ranks. It deals 3 to 6 damage and has a 10% chance to crit. This move sends the Jester back 1 rank and applies a blind token to the targeted enemy. Slice Off is the Jester's first ability with a status component. The skill can be used from the middle 2 ranks and can target the enemy's middle 2 ranks. It deals 3 to 6 damage and has a 5% chance to crit. When successful, Slice Off applies a 3-tick status of bleed to the targeted enemy. Battle Ballad is our first utility buff. This move can be used from the back 3 ranks and can target the heroes in those same back 3 ranks. When used, it moves the targeted hero forward 1 rank and applies a strength token to them. Inspiring Tune is a powerful utility ability that can be used from the back 2 ranks and can target any hero with more than 50% stress on your side of the field. This ability removes 2 stress but does have a 1-turn cooldown. Harvest is a damaging ability that can be used from the middle 2 ranks and targets both enemies in their middle 2 ranks. It deals 2 to 4 damage, has a 5% chance to crit, and when successful, applies 2-tick bleeds on those enemies. Finale is a powerful attack that can be used from the front 2 ranks and can target any enemy on the opposing side. This ability deals 6 to 12 damage, has a 10% chance to crit, and has a 2-turn cooldown. When used, the Jester gets sent back 3 ranks and takes a Dazed and Vulnerable token. Additionally, if the enemy has a combo token, the ability deals 100% more damage. Solo is a utility ability that can be used from the back 2 ranks and can target any enemy on the opposing side. When used, it sends the Jester forward 3 ranks, applies 2 instances of a dodge token as well as a speed token. This ability has a 1-turn cooldown. Play Out is a defensive ability that can be used from the back 3 ranks and can target allies in the front 3 ranks. This sends the targeted hero back 1 rank and applies a block token on them. Encore is another utility ability that can be used from the back 2 ranks and can target any hero on your side of the field. When used, it provides the target with an extra action that turn. The drawback is that it applies a Daze and Weak token to the Jester. Encore is on a 3-turn cooldown. The final ability is Echoing March. This can be used from the back 2 ranks and can target the enemy's back 3 ranks. When used, this pulls the target forward 1 rank, and additionally on the next turn it pulls the enemy forward 1 rank again. This ability is on a 1-turn cooldown. Now that we know what we're working with, it's time to really unpack the Jester and build up a hero that's going to make an impact during combat. Keep in mind, this is one of the most versatile heroes in the game, and depending on what type of utility you like to bring to the table, your build could easily look different than my preferred one. For me, it comes down to a few things. I want to lean heavy into the Jester's ability to deal bleed damage. This is a great status effect and easy to apply to most enemies. I also want to capitalize on the Jester's ability to self-buff. This will be really important for some of the more elite encounters in the game. Next, I want to make sure I can use the Jester to move ranks as needed. This is going to play a big role in my synergy with other classes. Finally, I want to make good use of the Jester's ability to remove stress. This is a critical part to any successful run. With all that in mind, the abilities I like to use for 95% of my encounters are Razor's Wit, Fade to Black, Harvest, Inspiring Tune, and Finale. This is definitely a damaged focused build, but honestly that works for me. With the right in-items and synergy with other classes, the Jester can easily be the single strongest hero on the battlefield. Razor's Wit, Fade to Black, and Finale are all incredibly strong damaging abilities that have mobility components to them, and that's valuable when you consider how often you get moved out of position. For me, the real star is Harvest. This is my go-to move, and while it doesn't do as much damage as Slice Off, I think being able to hit 2 enemies and apply bleed to both is a great trade-off. In conjunction with other status abilities, you can really capitalize on the effect of bleed. Finally, Inspiring Tune. There's not much to say about this. It's a pseudo panic button stress heal, but when upgraded, it's capable of keeping stress in check. It's a more focused approach to stress management, and while some other heroes can restore stress for the whole team, I find that a more precise application works better for my playstyle. When it comes to the Mastery Trainer, well, shoot, everything is worth spending tokens on here. In fact, it's really hard to tell you which 3 abilities I would prioritize because I think everything in the Jester's arsenal is just that good. That being said, I do think there are a couple abilities that stand out as slightly more important to upgrade, simply due to the fact that their benefits outweigh the benefits of the other upgraded abilities. The first is Inspiring Tune. When upgraded, the ability loses its cooldown, reduces more stress, and removes horror. It's hands down one of the single strongest utility moves in the game, and usually the first thing I upgrade on a run. Stress is the single biggest factor when it comes to derailing a run, so it just makes sense to spend the 1 point and put yourself in that much better a position. Next, I'd have to say Harvest. I use this move about 60 to 65% of the time, and by upgrading it, you're getting more baseline damage, more bleed tick damage, and a 33% chance to apply a combo token on 2 different enemies. That's all around really good, and while it may not be the most powerful ability in the game, stacking a few Harvest round after round is one of the simplest ways to make a big impact and chip away at multiple enemies. The third ability I would prioritize upgrading is Razor's Wit. This is the only ability we have in this build that moves us forward, so we're going to use it a fair bit. The upgraded version deals more baseline damage, gets a 5% increase to crit chance, and now always applies a combo token. Depending on the other heroes in your group, this effect is vitally important in setting up big combo maneuvers. There's nothing wrong with upgrading Fade to Black or Finale, but ultimately, the 3 moves we just talked about really make up a vast majority of the Jester's toolkit. But if you have the points to spare, there's no harm upgrading everything. This kit is lights out, and you're only making yourself more deadly by upgrading all of the Jester's abilities. The Jester has one of the most fluid playstyles of any hero in Darkest Dungeon 2, capable of moving ranks and dealing incredible damage in the process. I always start in the 3rd rank. This gives me access to all my setup abilities and allows me to use Razor's Wit without popping right into the 1st rank. Like I said before, I used Harvest a lot. It makes up the bulk of my combat because it's just that important for building up a base of damage, but Razor's Wit and Fade to Black are also important to weave in. I use the former when I know I'm at risk of taking a big hit from an enemy. Because Razor's Wit applies a dodge token, I can keep myself relatively safe from a potentially big attack. In the same vein, Fade to Black provides team-wide support by applying a blind token to an enemy. This is best used on an elite or an enemy you know is about to hit you or your team with a powerful move. Sure, you're losing out on bleed from Harvest, but at the end of the day, staying alive is more important, and you're still getting some damage out on both of those abilities. Finale is a bit trickier to place. You'll have to be careful not to use this when your team is on their heels. It's much better to use Finale aggressively because it allows you to take out enemies quicker due to the high damage, but if you use it at the wrong time, you end up really hamstringing the Jester, making him vulnerable to enemy attacks. It's a great move when used properly, but that pendulum swings the other way as well. Don't feel pressure to use this one on cooldown. It's best utilized when planning for a string of big attacks synergized with another hero. Finally, Inspiring Tune. There's not much to say here, use this as necessary, and while it can be hard to take the Jester out of the damage rotation for a turn, it's essential that you keep your team's stress low. The upgraded version is great and can really help keep things under control. My only real advice is don't push off stress healing for too long. Skipping a turn or even two is fine, but the longer you wait, the more you're risking a big stress ability pushing your heroes to a meltdown. I said it in the intro, but I'll say it again. The Jester works well in pretty much any team, but if you really want to capitalize on what the hero brings to the table, you have to focus on the combo token. One of the heroes that benefits most from combo is Leper. When upgraded, most of the Leper's damage dealing abilities completely negate the chance to miss, so long as the target has a combo token. This is incredibly powerful, as we discussed in our Mastering the Leper video. I highly recommend you go check that out if you're interested, because the character is a real beast in the front line. Additionally, there are a number of backline heroes that gain some significant benefits from combo tokens. The Grave Robber is really the one that comes to mind first. Most of her abilities get a 50% increase to crit chance when attacking an enemy with a combo token. That makes her baseline crit chance on combo token enemies anywhere from 60 to 65%. Other heroes like the Runaway, Highwayman, and Plague Doctor all have some synergies with combo, albeit not quite as dramatic as the Grave Robber. Keep in mind the Highwayman and Runaway also have great mobility, so those two characters pair nicely with the Jester. In the middle two ranks, you have a lot of flexibility to move around, deal damage, apply status effects, whatever you need to do, and always have the ability to get back into position as necessary. The Jester is the Joker, literally, and his flexibility is really the ultimate selling point because he fits in just about any team in nearly any situation. The Jester may be strong, but there are definitely a few areas that hold him back. The first is just overall durability. He is squishy, that's just the nature of more DPS-focused characters in Darkest Dungeon 2. Of course, you can offset this with certain in-items and combat items, but it's something you'll actively have to manage. While keeping every hero alive is important, keeping the Jester alive is doubly so, mainly because of that stress heal, so when push comes to shove, I always prioritize the heal on the Jester above most other characters on my team. Additionally, the Jester is a double-edged sword, and while he can dish out some serious damage and create opportunities for his team, some of his abilities have drawbacks. Like we talked about before, moves like Finale are dangerous to use flippantly, so you need to really think about when you use abilities like that and if you're ready to shoulder the negative effects that get added into the mix. Other than that, the Jester is a solid character, one of the best in Darkest Dungeon 2. He's strong, mobile, and brings a lot of different utility to a team, and while there are some drawbacks, the pros far outweigh the cons. Once you master the Jester, you'll never look back. He'll be a staple of your team and the driving force behind some of your best runs. There's definitely a learning curve, and after 40 hours with Darkest Dungeon 2, I'm still learning how to play the Jester in new ways. He's a great hero top to bottom, unorthodox, devious, and oh so deadly. Hopefully now you yourself can master the Jester. If you found this video interesting or helpful, do me a solid and hit that thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you want to see this series continue with the other heroes, also consider dropping us a comment and letting us know. You can also join us on Discord. We've got a great community of around 7,000 members with a special section dedicated just for Darkest Dungeon 2, so check out that link below and join today. Finally, if you like everything we're doing here at Legacy Gaming and you want to help us out even more, you can now do so by becoming a member. For just a couple bucks, you're helping evolve the channel and take our community to that next level. Check out the join button below to learn more. My name is Codiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.